Green Day in the Steel City. Good luck. 216-578-1007 or 800-348-1007.
The Alan Cox Show.
Sure, you could listen to another show, but then how would you find the puppies we've buried in boxes around the city? 100.7 WMMS.
You heard the Linda Lindas? They're pretty good. Amy Poehler discovered the Linda Lindas. She did some indie film and knew somebody who like, hey, you guys want to be on this soundtrack? Just an LA band, 4 girls, young girls. Every generation needs its all-female rock band with a girl's name in it. Every generation needs that. There were the Runaways back. 20 years ago, I was making out with a guitar player from the Donnas at our station festival. But those girls are all in their mid-40s now.
Was that because you thought it was the Dons? Because you're gay.
Shut up, Bill.
What was the thing that you did that made someone go, hey, you're gay, Alan?
Oh, yeah. I forget what it was.
Washed your butt or something?
Yeah, they thought I was gay because every time we go back to the muscle car people get mad.
Yeah, it's funny that they get so mad.
So anyway, Linda Lindas are on that Green Day tour. That's exciting for them. You go from playing to some medium-sized venues, and then somebody comes and taps you on the shoulder and said, hey, would you like to play sports stadiums? And they go, yes, we would. Very much so. So I'll have a last pair of tickets for you for that tomorrow, and then tomorrow afternoon, the last pair of tickets to join us on Saturday afternoon. Mary will be in here tomorrow.
Yes, I will.
She will oversee the whole operation from across the board here. Tomorrow, the last pair of tickets going out for Captain Fun's Floating Fandango. Not everybody's going to be along, of course.
The entire reason I didn't buy tickets for the boat is because I knew you guys would acquiesce to Mary's awful country music request. Have fun, guys. Won't be there. Later.
Oh, no!
Because I can't have one
Mary,
song?
how are we going to get along?
I'm not even going to notice it.
Without that guy there. What?
I don't know, Alan. Ask yourself.
The whole reason I didn't buy tickets is because I knew you guys would do this. How? Well, now I can't have any. What are the other 500 people on the boat going to do without that guy there?
We're all just going to talk about, man, we wish he was here. This would be so much better. Thanks a lot, Mary.
Why couldn't that guy be here? Oh, no. Well, good job, Mary.
I know.
Ugh. You know how much that guy wanted to be there, too.
That's all he's been talking about.
Alan, look up the clip of Michael McDonald during allergy season from Family Guy. Does anybody remember that? That's a deep cut. We're talking about the doobies.
We now return to Michael McDonald during allergy season.
Get it?
Yeah, I get it.
I love it.
It's great.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. By the way, devotion to accuracy and kind of coming full circle, I got a lot of texts from people mentioning that War Games was the music. Well, there was music in it.
There was.
War Games was the movie in which Matthew Broderick changes the grades. He changed Ali Sheedy's grades in War Games. Changed his, what was it, productive time off? What was it, PTO in high school? What did you call it?
Pardoned.
Pardoned time off in high school.
Approved
He changes,
absences.
there you go. His approved absences in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, but changes the grades in War Games. Alan, they just showed an Olympic swimmer with no legs below the knees, and I can barely swim because I used to have ear infections. It makes me feel lazy. Well, it's like that wrestler who's just a torso, right?
Yeah.
I was a wrestler in high school and part of college, and I had what was considered all of my
Legs?
appendages. Yeah, I had what were considered legs. Now, you'd never notice it because, of course, freshman year, my first year in high school of wrestling, I was terrible. Once word got around that whoever they had, because freshman year, I was wrestling in the 98-pound weight class. I was just a little slip of a lass. They've changed the weight classes since then. But when I was wrestling, 98, and then 112, and then 135, and then 155, and then heavyweights. I never broke 135. There were a lot of, the first handful of wrestling matches that I won is simply because the other school didn't have anybody as small as me.
Oh.
But then you got to be small, but then you got to be a scrapper, right? I had to learn how to be a scrapper because there was another kid on the team who was about my size, and this kid was a beast. Nick Parnello. I remember it like it was yesterday. But I was getting pinned a lot. When you're in high school and you're not especially skilled as a wrestler and you're kind of learning the moves, when your head is on that mat, did you ever wrestle in high school or anything like that?
I did one practice, and I was like, I don't like this one bit. I'm out of here.
That thing where the ref smacks his bare hand down on that mat near your head, it echoes. There is nothing that will get you more motivated than that. I was like, man, if I never hear that again, it'll be too soon. And I heard it a lot. That smack of the hand on the mat when you're on your back staring at those lights and there's nothing you can do because that other kid has gotten the better of you. And I had both arms and both legs. I was still learning the moves. So this kid who's just a torso, I mean, he's got arms, but he's got no legs like at the hip. I was the skinny wiener king in high school. That's right. No, nobody was calling me anything like that. But boy, that sound. See, Mary was a cheerleader. Mm-hmm. Was that high school and college?
Yes.
Did you guys, were you mat maidens ever?
No.
You didn't have to do wrestling
for
matches.
Football and basketball.
See, there were some schools, and I was so envious because my school didn't have cheerleaders at wrestling matches either. Because it's just not, wrestling's not sexy, right? You're not drawing huge crowds. I fully get it. It's basketball, it's football, whatever. My high school was huge on soccer, so it was a whole thing. But we didn't have mat maidens. But I had friends that were like way out in the sticks. They were at more like, past the suburbs, like rural schools. And we would go out there to, they were always like the corn-fed boys who would look at you and, break you in half. But they always had cheerleaders at the wrestling matches. And I had to wonder, there was a part of me, I was very ambivalent because on the one hand, I was like, thank God there aren't women here watching me get my ass kicked. But on the other hand, I was like, that would be pretty good motivation. So, and it was. I started winning matches when we would go out to those corn-pone schools and they had their cheerleaders. I didn't know those girls, but I didn't want to end up flat on my back around them.
You didn't want to show off for the moms at your school?
No, the moms, no.
Whoever was coming to watch?
Not many people.
Aunts?
Not many
aunties?
people. Again, we didn't draw a crowd. No. Zion Clark. Oh, is that true? He's from Massillon? The wrestler with no legs?
Yeah.
Oh, is that a local thing? Why did I think that was like a national? Zion Clark, okay.
I mean, it's like a national thing because it's such an inspiring story, but he is a local guy.
Oh, he went to Kent State. Okay. I must have been misremembering that. I didn't realize or had forgotten that was a local thing. Yeah. I mean, he's got like nothing below the waist. A rare disorder called caudal regression syndrome. God, I mean, every day is chest and arm day. That's the beauty of it. You're cutting out half the work in the weight room. He's 110 pounds. And that's heavy. When you're just waist up.
Yeah, when it's just
but
your
just torso and
yeah.
arms. Oof. Yeah, you're in the weight room all the time. Good for him. So, yeah. I don't know how we got on that. I have no idea how we got on that whole thing. But that smack of the hand near the head, it's deafening. And once I started winning some matches, and I went up a couple of weight classes, never broke 135. But, you know, and then it was time for me to get out of the biz because I had to get out. Start working some jobs, making some money. Salary transparency. This is a thing that you see a lot of current generational people talking about. There's this big push for salary transparency. People go, why is it so verboten that people talk about the money they make? This is what further divides people. Now, obviously I'm a Gen Xer. I don't necessarily see the value in this, but you do you. They said that most people have lied to their coworkers about how much money they make. Either telling them that they make less than they do or telling them that they make more than they do. The majority of people in this country that they talked to said that. The majority of people they talked to said that employees' salaries should be transparent in the workplace.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
So explain this to me. I understand the thought behind it, but you're in favor of that. Why?
So that you can kind of know where everybody's sitting.
Yeah, so you know the market value so that everybody can get fair pay.
Yeah, but that still differs based on the individual and the job they're doing.
Sure.
If everybody's doing the same job, I understand that, or am more prone to understanding it.
Yeah, but I also think it's good to at least have a baseline. Like, hey, here's kind of what you can ballpark make in position A, B, C, and D.
But they already tell you that.
But they don't.
Well, they do. When there's a
No,
job
they tell
opening.
you a starting position. They tell you this job starts at $19 an hour.
Right, but here's what I'm saying. We have access to more information and data than we've ever had before. You can find out what a job pays.
Or your job can just tell you.
Yeah, but the job tells you. This is people talking to each other. Like if somebody were to come up to me and say, hey, how much money do you make? I would not tell them because I don't think, and again, this does fall in line with the older you get, the less likely people are to even talk about this kind of stuff because it's considered gauche or whatever. So I fully understand because the younger workers get and the more we creep toward the cliff of late stage capitalism, I fully understand people are like, everybody's getting screwed. I'd like to know where I am. I understand that. But as transparent as people say it should be, they still say most people lie about it. So it's like people talking to their coworkers are not telling the truth.
Well, it's because we've been told not to tell anybody. Hey, this is a secret between you and me. And
no,
it's
but
either because they're paying
you've never
you
been
more,
told
they're
that.
paying you less.
But you've never been. I've never been told. Don't tell people how much.
As like a society, they tell you 3 things you're not supposed to talk about.
A cultural thing, you mean?
Yeah, money, politics, and sex. Like those are the 3.
Religion.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, for Mary,
Whatever, it's
for
in
Mary
there.
it's sex.
Sex.
It
Don't
was
talk
sex,
about
yeah.
sex.
Baby, don't talk about
Or money, yeah, money, politics, and religion, whatever. But those are things you're not supposed to discuss because it's not polite. But I don't understand how telling someone how much money you make is impolite.
Because it's going to piss somebody off. Either
but it
you
also
or
might help somebody.
Is that the chance people are willing to take?
I mean, Mary and
Yes.
I kind of do this just to make sure we're not getting screwed for like gigs.
I do this with all comics.
With all
If any
comics,
comic ever asks me how much I'm making for a gig or for a weekend or a festival, I tell them immediately because I'm like, well, try to get either. And again, it does change because it depends on your credits,
Right.
And it depends on your draw, and all of those things go into it. But if you can look at someone about at your level
and have
and if there's a huge discrepancy, like if Bill and I were doing the same gig in Cleveland and I was getting paid $500 and he was getting paid $3,000, like then it's something like, hey, what the hell?
Well, that I fully understand. A, you're talking about a one-off. B, you're talking about apples to apples.
But I
But
think
if you're
that's what
talking
they're
about what
talking
people,
about, too.
if you're talking about like what people get paid annually,
If you're all software engineers at the same company and you know, I've been doing this 5 years, that guy over there has been doing it 6, I'm going to ask him what he makes because we're kind of at the same level.
right?
I don't see anything wrong with that.
I don't even think there's anything wrong with it. It just comes down to, because the funny thing is, what they find is, even if people are like, yay, salary transparency, the more people make, it's inversely proportional to their transparency. So the more they make, the less likely they are to tell people about it.
Is that why you don't want to tell people?
No. It's nobody's business. And frankly, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter what I make here, because I'm not talking to someone else in my situation.
But you've openly asked Cody and I about money and salaries and things like that. Is it because
What do you mean?
You know we make less money than you?
I've openly asked you what?
About where we talk about when Cody would talk about his savings, or you would, how much money do you have in your savings? I feel like you would never answer that question because it's far more than Cody or I would have.
But those conversations were about people trying to save money, and he was making hourly. I know what he made because he made it hourly. If he was making an annual salary, or you were, that would be none of my business.
So that's the difference, is a salary versus an hourly?
To me.
How?
Well, also because you guys get paid by the company, right? You don't get paid by me. Obviously, I would know what you make. I don't know how much Bill makes. And that would be information available to me, but it's none of my business.
Do you want to know? I'll write down on a piece of paper and slide it across the table.
I don't want to know. No, Pound Cake, those conversations were in
They would say, not enough.
Those conversations were in the realm of him trying to get a better job in this business.
Right. And wouldn't it be helpful to know what someone who has had a job in a specific market for 15 years makes? That wouldn't be helpful information.
But he's not at my level.
Right, but it would be hey, okay, here's a baseline. Alan's been doing this 30 years. He's been in Cleveland for 15. We're a #1 show.
Again,
that type of person makes X amount of money.
Because you can't do that. That's the thing.
You
can't.
Absolutely can.
Why
not?
Because there's no baseline. There's
that's
so
the whole
many.
Point is, let's try to figure out a baseline.
Well, you can try to figure it out. I'm just saying there are so many variables. So many people are laser focused on seniority that's what throws them off. You're not a cop. You don't get a gold watch every 35 years, right? If I lost my job tomorrow, I'd have to go find somewhere else to work and tell them, well, this is my nut. This is what I would need. They don't care that I've been somewhere for 15 years. But if I had to move to another city, I haven't been there for any years.
Seniority in experience of the job. You
right,
are
but
someone
that's
is experienced for X amount of time.
But that's a very hazy thing. Experience is very hazy. I'm not a computer programmer. I'm a guy making fart jokes on the radio. So it's very hazy. There's a lot of people in this business who have way more experience than me and don't make the kind of money I make. So, because it ain't me, and I'm not them.
Well, I get that.
So I don't know.
But I don't see the harm in it. I don't
I'm not
see
saying
any harm
I'm not
in
saying it's harmful.
transparency.
I think if two people want to tell each other what they make, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
But what are the reservations then? You just, because
I don't
it's none
have
of your
any.
business? You're not allowed to know because I don't want to tell you.
Oh, you mean about me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's how I came up. Because it's not apples to apples. If I told somebody, what, are they going to march off and go, well, I want that? Well, the person in charge is going to go, well, you're not worth that. This guy's worth this because this is how much money he generates for the company. That's where that all comes into play. If you're not costing the company money, you're in good shape, right? If this show didn't generate revenue, we all be out on our ass. So there's so many variables. But to your point, if there's two people doing the same job in the office and they go, hey, how much do you make? And one's way less.
Would you discuss it with Mark Nolan?
Would I discuss it?
Someone kind of at your level, that you both have your own show. Yes, he's mornings. Yes, there's afternoons. Yes, you have many variables.
I have discussed it with a colleague of mine in this company in another market. And it was not a fun conversation.
What is it? I find it weird that it makes you so uncomfortable.
It doesn't make me uncomfortable. It's just not a conversation that I'm prone to having. So, because it's not going to change anything for him. It's not going to change anything for me. I'm not going to walk into management's office and go, hey, this guy's making this. And they'll go, yeah, well, that's him. You're you. I mean, what does that information get you? Yeah, he's him. You're you. You're both, you're both creating content specific to your personalities. That's why it's so wonky. Because your entire livelihood is based on this quirk of your personality that people happen to find entertaining. That's all it is. It's not, I've been here 15 years. It's got nothing to do with that.
I agree for this job.
Well, this is the job I do.
Right, but I'm saying, but for like more, I don't know what the word is, straightforward jobs.
Understood.
Where it's like, hey, man, it's data entry.
Yes.
You might be able to do it quicker than somebody else, but it's pretty much the same job wherever you get it.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with people talking to each other. My thought is always just, is that going to get you anywhere?
I think put it on a board.
I think it'll.
Remember at the old station when we had it would show like which station had like the highest web hits for the day.
Yeah.
I think do that with salaries.
For the day. God.
See how much everybody makes every day.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think
the salespeople.
I think you're right. If there's two people doing the same thing, because then the reason that information is valuable is when you're looking to get another job with another company. Then you've got some leverage. But if you go to your boss at the same company and go, hey, they're just going to go, I mean, they're not going to go, yeah, you're right. We should double your salary. Like, that'll never happen. Ever. But I still think it's humorous that the more people make, the less likely they are to talk about it.
Well, that's kind of the point I was getting at with you, is that it seems like you would be a lot less likely to talk about it than I would when I'm like, yeah, I make $22,000 a year. Like,
right.
It's not impressive. It's not, nobody's batting an eye at it.
Right.
But I don't know what that part of society is, where it's okay to talk about people who have less than people who have more.
I think it's just, well, I'm not even saying, I'm saying no matter how little I made, I wouldn't, my very first paid job in radio, Kalamazoo, Michigan. I got hired at $17,500 a year. And even in Kalamazoo, Michigan, boy, you're eating a lot of tinned peaches in heavy syrup. But I wasn't telling people that. I wasn't like, yeah, I knew that, but it wasn't anybody's business. But again, it's a generational thing, I think, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think if it helps people get